Welcome back, everybody, to the Even Your Dynasty show.
We just got breaking news in.
What's up? Welcome, everybody, to the Even Your Dynasty show. We are back with our 2K live show. We're going to have a nice little giveaway going on later for anybody that's looking to get a hoodie. So we're going to have that going on. We'll show those off here in a little bit. I know I have mine sitting next to me, so we can show you guys what those look like. We did put some pictures in the both the post on X as well as if you guys went in the community page on YouTube. But we appreciate you guys all. You know, that was our goal, was to reach that by the end of the season. Got there with a month to go, so that's fantastic. Giants are riding a nice little hot streak. I think they're winners now of 10 of their last 11. They looked dead in the water 2 weeks ago during our live show a couple weeks ago, and since then they're on a nice little run. So kind of dragging themselves back in. We're gonna run through the math a little bit. We'll go right down the standings, but how you guys doing?
Good. Doing good. It's nice that it feels like we're watching a completely different team over the last 2 weeks than we watched for the last 6 months. So I'm pretty happy. Can't complain right now.
Yeah, it's crazy how night and day different it is between the approaches in the box, being way more aggressive on pitches in the zone, cleaner defense, even when they're bringing in, replacements for Willie and Chapman getting ejected, all around a lot cleaner baseball. And that's all with, no Tyler Rogers anymore, no Camilo Duvall, no Landon Roop, kind of just patching a rotation together. So it's been really nice to see, and hopefully they can sustain it for another couple weeks at least.
You know what this team reminds me of? They remind me of the 2025 Cactus League champions. That's what they remind me of.
Hang the banner.
Hang the banner.
We're pitching, we're hitting, we're putting the ball in play, playing clean defense, clean fundamental ball. God.
What's up, Addy?
What's going on, everybody? So, yeah, so for starters, obviously, grain of salt, they went to Colorado. They took care of business in Colorado. Now, you could sit there and point to the fact that they did kind of overcome some adversity there. I think Jeff Young kind of tweeted this too. They had Kaiwei Tang start the first game. They won. They had, which, Tang threw the ball well, so credit to him. But when you're looking at that on paper before the game, that's concerning. You had Tang start. They won. They had Adames and Chapman get tossed in the first inning of game 2. They won. And then in game 3, they looked like they were about to fall apart. Robbie had his meltdown after the blown call on the missed strike 3. They give up the lead entirely, and they answered back, and they scored 3, I think, in the bottom of the inning, added a couple more later, win that game. So, they weren't the prettiest games at Coors Field. They rarely are. But, they took care of business at Coors Field. They did what they had to do. We're gonna run through the math here in just a second, but now you get to turn your attention to St. Louis, and it's gonna have to start, I think, with at least taking 2 there. But do you guys want to run through the standings really quick? I have them up here before we really dive in on this.
You got them pulled up. Go for it. I just want to point out that the ejections from Chapman and Adames, like you mentioned, were complete BS. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, I don't like how soft the game's gotten now, but also with how umpires are nowadays, you just know they're going to toss guys if it escalates to that. So
not only that, but then the Chappie suspension. That's annoying.
That's the bad part to me. Like, the ejections I get, like, that's just today's game, but no punches were thrown and he never even played in the game. It's like, what are we doing suspending him? Like, just make that act as a suspension and call it good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, he lost a full-on game from that, and not to mention, it's like, how are you not going to give anything to the guy who started the whole thing? Like, Freeland was completely out of line for the way he acted. He's like full-on, like trying to follow a guy to bark at him going down the line, and like Rafael Devers, I mean, just watching his home run was not egregious at all. He slowly moved, and then by the time he got halfway down the line, he kept going. Like, he wasn't showing anybody up. He wasn't staring Freeland down. And you know what, Freeland? Don't throw a damn 0-2 slider right down the middle of the plate. You've already given up 20 bombs this year. Get over it. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's crazy.
Don't put it on a tee to one of the most powerful hitters in all of baseball in Denver, and then get mad when it gets freaking clobbered. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got nothing to add to that. I mean, you guys pretty much said it. It's just, yeah, I mean, and I get the other side of this where, obviously Mad Bum, we all love the guy. And now granted, he got a little too get off my lawn for me towards the tail end of his career where he was constantly barking at guys. And it was like, come on, man, like just get over it. But at the same time, like, he put it literally an 0-2 pitch right there in the middle of the plate. And it's like he did nothing different than he does on like every home run he's hit this season. He kind of slow walks it, flipped the bat and walked, and just started trotting. Like, he didn't do anything over the top. It wasn't anything crazy. Like, dude's just angry to be angry. But I mean, the Rockies are going to take that trade every time. If you're going to get Freeland injected and then the Giants have to lose their left side of the infield when Casey was, not playing that day initially because of a sore, because of the ball he took off his elbow, I think the Rockies would make that trade every day of the week. So,
and my thing is, when people bring up the whole Mad Bum comparison, Mad Bum would bark at the Dodgers when it's already a heated series and it's already a rivalry and there's already, high tension. It's the freaking Rockies. They've lost 100 games. No, they're not a rival. I mean, sure, they're in the same division, but they're not on your same level. They're not a rival. What, joy are you going to get from, quote unquote, showing up the freaking Rockies with 3-11 Kyle Freeland on the mound? Like, like, get out of your feelings, bro. You threw a meatball, it got clobbered, you're pissed at yourself. And even Dave Fleming mentioned, like, literally 4 pitches before, like, oh, Freeland's given up a lot of home runs this year. And then boom, gets smacked. It's like, bro, you've been doing that all year. Why are you just not getting pissed? Whatever. I don't know. I just had to say that.
Yeah, for sure. But we're going to jump right into the math here. Let's see. Looking at the NL wild card race currently, because, the reality is the division, as much as they've picked up some ground on the Dodgers, and I guess theoretically, you go 7-0 against the Dodgers coming in, you might actually catch them. But let's be real, that's probably not happening. Not with the way the Giants have played the Dodgers in recent years. So jumping in right on the NL wild card race, currently the Cubs are in the first wild card spot, followed by the Padres, who are only 1 game ahead of the Mets, who have the third wild card spot. The Giants there's nobody else in front of them. So the Reds have kind of fallen off. The Giants are 4 games behind the Mets. Now, something to keep in mind, everybody. The Giants do not have the tiebreaker because it is head-to-head matchups. There is no longer a game 163. If there's a tie, there are tiebreakers in place. The Giants do not have the tiebreaker with either the Mets or the Padres. So they're going to have to pass them. They can't just finish the season with the same record. Which kind of brings me to, what do we think is going to be the minimum record to have a shot to get in the playoffs? And then what do you guys think is going to be, the minimum that you feel pretty confident they'll get in? You know what I mean? Like, if they reach a certain win total. Because just for reference, for everybody's sake, the Mets are currently 10 games over 500. If they go 500 the rest of the way, and granted, their schedule's pretty tough, they could fall on their face a little bit, slip back a tiny bit. You never know, but they could also, they're still a solid team overall. So they could theoretically, they could still, end up gaining ground on 500 at that point. But if the Mets go 500 the rest of the way, they're going to finish with 86 wins, which means the Giants would need 87. to get in. So what are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna need roughly between 86 to 87 wins to have a chance, realistically.
Yeah.
Ricky, you muted.
Ricky, yeah, you're muted.
I'm in the same boat as you guys. I think 86, 87 wins. I do think 87 can get you in. Mets aren't really playing great baseball right now, and they're playing against a ton of teams that are kind of in the mix or already in playoff spots right now. You've got Cincinnati for 3 games right now. That's the Mets. 3 against them on the road, and then you have another 3 against Philly on the road as well, back to back. So it's really important the Giants take advantage of these next 3. And then I believe that leads into the first game for the Giants against the Dodgers. So those are going to be huge for the Giants to take advantage during that stretch. The Mets did surprise us. They took 2 out of 3 on the road against Detroit at the beginning of the road trip. But overall their schedule's a lot tougher than the Giants. So you can really only worry about yourself and just, continue to grind these games out and find any way to win and hope your lineup can kind of carry you the rest of the way.
Yeah, sure.
No, I agree. I think 86 is the minimum. Like, I don't want to count on the Mets falling over. Like, you're just falling apart. Like, I don't think that's. I think the Giants need to approach this trying to get to minimum 86, which to get there, it looks like I think they have to go 15. They're at 71 and 69. So they'd have to go 15 and 7. Now we've gone we've gone through the series. They've got 22 games left. And 7 of those are against the Dodgers. If they can go, and this is kind of the way we worked it out. This is tough. No one's predicting this, but it is feasible, I think. If they can go 4-2 versus St. Louis, they've got 6 games left against them. If they can go 4-2 versus Arizona, they got 6 against them. If they can go 4-3 versus the Dodgers in their 7 games and then sweep the Rockies last series, unless my math is incorrect here, that puts them right at 15 and 7, which would get them to 86. Now, you might need another win in there, which gets tough. So maybe, if you can sweep one of these series against Arizona or St. Louis, it can help the math out a little bit. I mean, again, this is tough. No one here is predicting them to do it, but the fact that there's even kind of a statistical possibility that's not completely outrageous involving them go on some kind of Rocktober run is nice to see, because I mean, this team, like we said at the beginning of the show, they looked like they were dead in the water 2 weeks ago. Like none of us were giving them even the slightest chance. So yeah.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, Ryan. Appreciate you, Glenn.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of nailed it, bro. If you would have told me 3 weeks ago that there's a legit chance of making the wild card, I would have called you crazy. But now it's seemingly and somewhat feasible. So really, you're just hoping that they can continue and carry this momentum onto literally one game at a time. You can't look too far ahead. You got to take it one game at a time and focus on that obstacle in front of you. And if they can continue playing this high quality ball and staying healthy, I mean, we've seen crazier things happen. So it's definitely possible. All I know is that this is going to be a fun month.
Yeah. Hey, meaningful baseball in September. Like, that's what we've been wanting for years. And I mean, that's obviously, that shouldn't just be the simple goal. Like, the goal shouldn't just be, oh, we're playing games that matter in September. Like, the goal is the playoffs, and nobody's going to step off of that goal. If they don't make the playoffs, I still think it's going to be a disappointment no matter how they get to that point. But it is a nice change that this team, for the first time in a few years, is going to have some meaningful games, and they're actually playing their best ball currently, going into September, and not, waiting until they're, out of it the last week to have like a nice final week, or, playing great and then falling apart in September or August, September. It's nice to see them going on a little bit of a run. So, we'll see. And I think Dan nailed it. You got to just focus on who's in front of you. You can't even pay attention to what the Mets are doing. You got to just keep stacking series wins. You got St. Louis in St. Louis. Got to find a way to win 2 there. If you win 2, the odds are you're not going to lose ground on the Mets. Obviously, you need to make up some ground, but above all else, you can't lose ground on them. That's going to be a big problem. So if you win 2 of 3, maybe the Mets drop 2 of 3 in their series, you pick up a game. You got to just keep stacking series wins. And the only spot that we kind of gave them a little leeway is when they play the Dodgers, because they are going to have a 4-game set there. You got to find a way to at least split. But, obviously every loss shrinks that margin of error. If you lose 2 of 3 against St. Louis, you're going to have to pick up wins somewhere, whether that's against the Dodgers, whether that's sweeping one of those other series, it just gets tougher and tougher as you go. So, we'll just kind of, hopefully they can just keep playing good ball, stacking series wins, and we'll just see how the chips fall at that point.
Yeah, I think you touched on a good point. It'd be huge if they could, they play Arizona twice and they play St. Louis twice. It'd be huge if, they can get a sweep or 2 in one of those series as well. Obviously, when we're factoring in, trying to get to, 86, 87 wins, they can do that without, sweeping any of those teams and just playing okay baseball against the Dodgers. But it would just give you such a huge margin for error, especially when you got 4 on the road in LA. Second to last week of the season. It's going to be really tough. Even though you would be catching the Dodgers at least right now at a good time because they're not playing the greatest baseball themselves, kind of like the Mets. I honestly think the Giants really got to make sure they don't overlook Arizona, because they're kind of a team like the Giants right now. They're kind of fighting for their manager, whose job might be on the line. And then, their bats are still going to be there. Their pitching might be hurting a little bit, but their bats are still going to be tough. So the Giants are going to just unfortunately have to keep swinging it because of who they're relying on in the rotation right now.
Yeah, and they're going to St. Louis, and they're not going to have Ray or Webb in this series. Yeah. And that's why I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, you've got to sweep this series. It's man, we're starting Verlander, a bullpen game, and Tang.
Highway Tang, bro.
Yeah. Not to disrespect any of those guys going on the mound, but they're not exactly your aces here. This is going to be a really tough series. If you can take 2, you take that and run. So,
yeah. It's going to be tough because ultimately, when you first started, getting used to throwing these guys out there is because you're trying to get an evaluation process going on all these guys. And then next thing you know, they get hotter than anybody could have imagined. And then now you're banking on a bunch of guys that have spent all season, mostly in just Sacramento. So it's going to be interesting for sure. It was unfortunate that they couldn't get a little bit more length from the starters in Colorado. Unfortunately, that was a little rough, but that's kind of to be expected over there. So hopefully they take advantage of the day off and get the pen rested up, because it's kind of tough with what's going on with both Wisenhunt and Roop. And then, like you guys said, now you're at the point of pretty much banking on Verlander to be a frontline guy after you could barely count on him all year. So
the plus side is that the offense is clicking. And yes, it was Coors Field. Yes, it's against Colorado. But like you touched on the beginning of the show, you're seeing meaningful and quality at-bats from guys who have not had meaningful or quality at-bats all season. I mean, we saw freaking Patrick Bailey look like, Barry Bonds in Coors Field. That's a little reference in my X post, by the way. And then you saw Wilmer actually making contacts. You got Drew Gilbert, who's absolutely on fire. You got, Rafael Devers, who actually looks healthy. Willie and Chappie doing their thing. Everybody's seemingly starting to click at the same time, which is what this offense has lacked all year long. Now, hopefully it's not just a small sample size against a mediocre team. Hopefully that's continuing to carry on. But you can't underestimate and disregard the fact that the at-bats just look so much better all across the board. And even if you're starting pitching, yes, you're having your quote-unquote weaker links of the rotation, even if they're giving up 3-4 runs against St. Louis, I mean, if your offense is clicking the way that they have been, they should be able to give you a lead to get through with 3-4 runs against them. So, here's hoping it wasn't a fluke. And here's hoping that, all these guys that are clicking. Someone touched on the comments earlier that this team is starting to gel. Seems like their chemistry is at an all-time high. I think that has a lot to do with it. And you just really want to carry all this momentum over, take it one day at a time. And, hopefully you don't have to rely on a Verlander, a bullpen game, and a Kai Wei Tang to kind of carry the load going forward.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. You got to be hoping to get a solid 5 out of Verlander at this point. He's been struggling, obviously, with his efficiency every start. I'd love to see him get into the 6th or 7th, but it's just seems like every start he's throwing, 20 plus pitches an inning. So you got to hope you get 5 out of him. Hopefully Tang can give you 5 or 6 when he starts again. And then I'm assuming the bullpen game, you're going to see Carson Seymour early in that game. If he can get you 3 or 4 innings of 1 or 2 run ball, like you're probably just like happy with that. Turn it to the rest of the pen, and hopefully you can hit. I mean, that's really what it's going to come down to, because this staff is not going to carry them at this point. The bullpen's depleted. Ryan Walker, who was like one of the most unreliable guys all year, is suddenly the most reliable guy in the pen. Piguero's been really good. Buto's been pretty solid, and like Lucchesi and Gage, but none of these guys are like locked down. So the pen, I don't know how much you can really rely on them. The rotation's a bit iffy when Webb or Ray aren't out there, and even when Ray's out there, he's prone to these meltdowns where it's like something doesn't go his way and it snowballs on him. But they're gonna have to keep swinging it. But to their credit, you've got Willie and Rafi are red hot right now. Chapman started to swing it a little bit better in Colorado, which it's Colorado. Let's see if he can carry it over against St. Louis, but he's starting to swing it better. Matos and Gilbert have been allowed to kind of play these supporting roles where they're coming up with big hits, really having not as much pressure on them because of guys like Rafi Devers and Willie Adames carrying the load like they're paid to and supposed to for this offense. So, hopefully they can just keep doing their thing. Cause I mean, you got Ramos, obviously the power's kind of gone away for him, but he's coming up with big hits. Flores even had a couple big hits. Bailey even had a couple big hits, like Dan mentioned earlier. When you're getting production top to bottom of your lineup, like you have a chance to do what we've been seeing. And it's not just, I don't want to sit there and keep using the Coors excuse, because we saw them hang 13 and 15 runs in 2 of the games against Baltimore. Yeah. We saw them put up a good amount against Chicago, I think, in a few of those games. I know in Milwaukee, at least one of the games, I think they put 7 or 8 runs on the board. It's just the offense is clicking. And if the offense continues to click throughout the month, they're going to have a chance. We've had to watch the pitching give the offense chances all year. If they can just keep hitting, like they're going to give the pitching a chance almost nightly. So it's weird to see or say for this Giants club after watching them for several years now.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it comes down to the home run ball. They're finally starting to hit home runs again. We saw them for maybe a week or two start to steal a little bit more bags, but honestly, it's been mostly just the home run ball. And then we have seen them execute a lot better with bringing guys in with, just productive outs. That last homestand with Chicago, you saw them bring a ton of guys in on sac flies, and against Baltimore too. So that was really nice to see. That was a huge improvement from that black hole of the season we had the previous 2 months. So it's been a huge improvement. And honestly, I think a lot of it can be credited to, bringing Matos up and then also calling Drew Gilbert up. Those guys definitely have injected a ton of life into the team. I would say Gilbert's played a pretty damn good right field as well, and center field at times. But you can tell those guys have brought a lot of energy and some much needed youth into the dugout. For sure. The vibe around the team has been completely different. You see guys joking around, playing way more loose. Like Dan said, that bat quality is way better. It's been a huge improvement just in these last 2.5, 3 weeks.
Drew Gilbert is an absolute psychopath, and I freaking love it. Like, dude plays with so much energy. Like, he gets me hyped, bro. Like,
did you see him after the Rockies series?
Yes,
talking trash to fans.
Yeah,
he's like, dude, 3, and then he's like, bye bye.
Bro's got swag, man.
He's a maniac.
Yeah. I love it, dude. I told you guys the other day, I was like, I'm loving that trade more and more by the day. I think he's the type of player the Giants needed. So hopefully it's sustainable. But dude, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, and we'll dive in a little bit on the outfield situation. Just kind of looking forward a little bit. I mean, it's still early. Like, we're not crowning Gilbert or Matos as everyday outfielders going into next season. Obviously, they're getting their shot right now. Up to this point, since they've both been getting their shot, like once Gilbert settled in, he's been proving it. Matos has been proving it for the last 11 or so games. I mean, I think their hot streak basically coincides exactly with him getting brought back up and put in the starting lineup. I don't think that's just a coincidence. Like, you see what he's done since coming back. I guess he had a couple rough games they had a couple against San Diego, but goes to Milwaukee and he heats up, and the whole team just heats up with him. So, we'll talk a little bit about the outfield here in just a little bit, but what do you guys think going in for the rest of the season? Like, where do you guys think they're going to finish wins wise? Like, what's your gut right now?
I
Not to put you on
want
the
to
spot, but
I want to say 87. That would be ideal, but I can't help but I can't help but think like they're going to finish with like 84.
Yeah.
And they're going to come just close to hitting that mark and making it. And we're just going to have a bunch of what ifs, and what if they played at least 500 ball for those 2 just terrible months, and what if this, what if that? I can't shake that feeling and wonder, like, man, that feels inevitable, but I don't want to see it happen, man. I want to see the streak keep going. The 3 of us have been, realistic about these Giants for this whole year. And now it's the last month of the year. Like, I want to see them end as strong as humanly possible and hit that 87 mark. But man, it wouldn't surprise me if they finish with like 84, 85, and we're just freaking pissed.
Yeah. That's kind of my gut, is like, we're gonna see them at like 85, and they end up missing by a game or 2. And I'm not trying to be pessimistic, everybody. Sorry. I think that's just like the realistic look at it. I mean, it is a tall order. The math is the math, but as we keep saying, take it one game, one series at a time. And there is a path there. So, and if you happen to get the first 2 of a series, you best get greedy. Like, that's at the end of the day, if you get the first 2, you got to get greedy and try and get that third. Because as we mentioned at the beginning, if all it takes really is like one little hot streak here, kind of like what they've done, because the math looked impossible 2 weeks ago. You go 10-1, all of a sudden the math goes, okay, all right, it's a little more favorable. Well, if the Giants can go on another little run where they win 6-7 games in a row, all of a sudden you're looking at it going, oh dang, we only got to play like barely over 500 ball the rest of the way. So it takes one crazy streak for this to get very manageable. But at the end of the day, the math is still the math right now. So it's like, it's hard to predict that. But we're all rooting for them. We all want to see it. That would be a hell of a story coming in if this team can just go insanely hot and get into the playoffs and get a shot, against the Dodgers in the first round or something like that, or in the wild card game, because that's kind of how it would line up as it stands. It would be pretty crazy.
Yeah, I just think it would be so Giants to, get real hot, and then we get down to that 4-game series in LA, and they end up losing 3 or 4 or something like that, and then they crap out in one other series against a team that they probably should beat, and that would pretty much put them right at like 83, 84. But I'm really hoping that they can ride this wave and keep the hitting going, because like you said earlier, I definitely think if the home run ball continues, that they absolutely can go on a nice little run and take advantage of some of these other teams like we've mentioned before already. I believe St. Louis has the 21st ranked pitching staff based on team ERA. And then I believe Arizona's right behind them at like 23rd or 24th. So, you know, while the bats are hot, you got to take advantage of these other teams' pitching staffs. I know somebody in here earlier mentioned how bad Arizona's bullpen has been pretty much all season. That's been an issue for them. Giants usually do hit pretty well in Arizona as well. So, you know, those are teams ultimately, if you want to get in the dance, you got to take advantage of those kind of teams for sure. And then just kind of tread water against LA for the most part and hope that doesn't burn you too bad with, you know, whoever the Mets are running into at that same time. But one other point too, you know, we talked about this earlier. We, you know, are also pretty much at the point of keeping an eye on the Padres as well, because they're kind of free falling right now. They recently just lost Xander Bogaerts to the IL. And then they lost Jason Adam, their setup man. So, you know, they're kind of a team that's going down a rough little stretch. And we know the history of the Padres. They're notorious chokers, and, you know, anything can happen. Maybe the Mets don't free fall, but maybe the Padres do, and they slip out of not only the second spot, maybe they completely fall to the wild card race while the Giants are getting hot. So definitely worth monitoring at least. Doesn't mean it'll happen, but you know, you got two teams you can kind of root for losing on a day in, day out basis.
For sure.
I have a buddy that's a Reds fan, and I texted him earlier, and I was like, "Hey, you know, you should just do us all a favor and go ahead and sweep the Mets this weekend. Like, that would just be ideal. Just drag everybody back into this race, get a sweep, see if the Giants at least can take two in St. Louis and pick up a couple games. That'd be really nice to see. But
that would be,
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if you go on a little heater where you win 6 or 7 games in a row, all of a sudden, you know, if the Mets even just have a 3-3 week or whatever, you know, it's like you just gain 3 games. All of a sudden, you're 1 game behind them, and if you don't think that's not gonna, you know, make them pucker up a little bit, like these guys, I mean, all of a sudden it gets tight. They weren't expecting it. They were, I mean, how far ahead were the Mets? I guess the Reds were close, but I mean, the Giants were 7 games back.
Yeah, like
8
7
games back. I mean, they were an afterthought, and all of a sudden you gain another couple games. Like, you know, they're going to be thinking.
And that's all while the Mets were on a notorious slide themselves, and the Giants completely did not take advantage one bit. That's the only thing that kind of really kept them in it, is the Mets were awful for pretty much all of August. I mean, we saw videos of Mets fans just losing their crap, throwing crap and having temper tantrums. Yeah, so ultimately, if the Giants would have just played maybe even close to a little bit under 500 baseball, we'd probably be having a completely different conversation right now, and the Giants would probably be right on the Mets like a game or two back.
Yeah. Gonna be a lot of what ifs if they miss the playoffs. I mean, they played really bad ball against some really bad teams that if they end up missing at the end of the year, we're gonna be looking back at this going, damn, like just play decent ball against some of those clubs, like Pirates getting swept at home by the Pirates, you know, and stuff like that. It's just it adds up at the end of the year. Like, all the wins count the same at the end. So
hey, we were saying that back in April and May, man. We were saying these are going to be the games when we look back in September that we wish we would have had. And it's coming to fruition.
Yeah. Hopefully they, hopefully they go on a run though. And it all ends up being kind of a moot point. We don't have to look back and say that. So, because I mean, ultimately we just, that's all we want to see. We want to see playoff baseball back in San Francisco. The team's on the way up, and let's just we'll jump over to the outfield topic here in a moment. For starters, there's like 540 people in here right now. I don't know how many are on YouTube versus X or anything like that, but if you're on X or Instagram, you're going to want to hop over to the YouTube channel in the YouTube stream, because we are doing a giveaway today. We are giving away 2 hoodies today. I'm going to move this a little bit, so hopefully it doesn't mess with the sound too bad. You guys probably saw the pictures. Front, that's how it looks on the front. It's kind of hard to read. It just has the at EYDShow YouTube logo. And then it's got the show logo on the back. It's a really nice material, really soft inside, nice and warm. I know it's still September. It's still warm in much of the Bay Area, but those night games get cold. So if you're looking for a sweatshirt, they definitely do the job. And great for the winter. I up where I'm at, like, we get a little more rain, so it's a little tougher. Sometimes I got to get something to keep me drier, but Bay Area, when it's just a little chillier in the wintertime, hoodies are kind of the best. So to get entered for the hoodie, all you got to do, you got to be subscribed to the channel, and you just got to drop a comment in the live chat here, and then be present when we do the drawing. We're going to do the drawing probably in about a half hour. We're not going to be running too late tonight. Try and get off by about 10 o'clock. So we'll be doing the giveaway probably right around 9:45. We'll likely at least, say, hey, all right, we're going to be doing it here in a minute, so everybody can drop their comments if they haven't already. But you will have to be on the YouTube side. So if you're on X, if you're on Instagram, please do jump over to YouTube, hit that subscribe. We really appreciate it. It's awesome getting to 2K, and we are giving away 2 of them. And for those of you that don't end up winning one, because I have heard a few people, they're interested in us doing merch and things like that. That is coming. We don't have it set up yet. I'm sorry. But that will be coming. I know Dan's working on that. I think you said you're hoping October, but when it's ready, we'll definitely be taking orders on stuff like that. It'll be fun. So
Cody's putting me to work, guys. Don't worry. I'm doing my best.
We got all sorts of goodies that are going to be coming here in the coming months. Once the off season hits and we can kind of take a step back, we're going to have a lot more. We'll have more time, especially for me with the minor league update. I'll have a little more time, and we're working on a few things that are going to be pretty cool. So, and
one more thing with the hoodies, I designed them and picked out the material and everything. They are not the cheap Hanes or Gildan quality that you're going to find. Yeah. They're legit. They're really good materials. So, you guys would like them.
Yeah. No, we appreciate all the kind words, guys. Yeah, they're awesome. Tyler asks, any chance we see Blade Tidwell up in the bigs? That is going to be fully dependent on his shoulder
health. Yep.
Yeah, he and I would have put that. I will go out and just say it. If he was healthy, he'd already be up. Yeah. For sure. The way he was throwing the ball before the shoulder soreness crept in, with Wisenhunt down and them having to go bullpen games and things like that, I would guarantee that Tidwell would be up right now, because he's already on the 40 man. It's not, they're not burning any options or anything. He's on the 40 man. So now he'll come and play. I think go for next season. I see someone mention rotation next year. I think that's in play. We'll see how he pitches in the spring training and over the offseason, how he's doing. So I do think that's in play, but this season might be tough. As Jen said, supposedly they are slow rolling him a little bit. Maybe we see him for an appearance or 2 late. So
I honestly think it's totally possible too that Giants end up looking to trade from some of this depth in the offseason, because you're starting to look at who they have and, as far as the younger arms go, and then you start to look at who's going to be left, and it's just Ray on a 1-year deal next year, and then Logan Webb, and you're looking at, a group between Birdsong, Root, Tang, Seymour, Tidwell. You've got a number of guys down there, and it's kind of looking like that might be how it plays out in spring training, but it honestly would make a ton of sense if the Giants try to trade from some of that depth and get more of a proven guy in their next season.
Agreed.
Yeah. A couple questions Sexus, how's Birdsong looking? Her looking? It's looked rough. That is accurate. Struggling to find the zone. He's struggling to command any of his pitches currently. I can't even sit there and advocate to bring him up and put him in the pen down the stretch. Like I don't think you can put him in a major league game right now. But to answer Jen's question, the follow up, can he be fixed? Absolutely. I mean, he's 24 years old. I don't give up on 24-year-old arms. Like, actually, he might even not even turned 24 yet. So, can he fix it? Absolutely. Might it be what keeps him from being an effective starter long term? I mean, possibly. He may just be a guy that has to be in the pen, which I'm not ready to go that route yet. I know there's a lot of people that are kind of at that point, but to me, like, you don't give up on a kid at 23, 24 years old with high end starter potential. But it's been rough for sure.
He's definitely the one I'd feel least comfortable giving up on, because out of all those guys, he by far has the most upside there. Just between the whole pitch mix and, what he can get his velo up to, it's a lot higher ceiling than what you got with, both Roop and Wisenhunt in particular.
Yeah. I think Tidwell's right up there with him as far as, cost. Who was it that a few years ago, like, gave up no earned runs? Like, I feel like it might have been like Fitzgerald last year or something. I don't know. Like, they had oh, you know who it was? It was in AAA. It was Donnie Walton last season.
Oh, it was Donnie Walton. I forgot about that.
Donnie Walton in AAA last season had like 8 scoreless innings. Every time he came in a game, it would go scoreless. It was the craziest thing ever. I was like, elite reliever Donnie Walton.
That's funny.
Yeah. And one person, Ridge, asked, would Tidwell be eligible for the playoffs? I don't believe so. I think you have to be on the active before September 1st, is my understanding.
Yeah,
correct.
So, but, they might just, if they're even in a spot, they might just need someone to eat some innings before the playoffs. So I still wouldn't rule it out. But with that, we're going to jump over to the little bit of an outfield discussion before we hop into the giveaway. The outfield for next season is starting to get a little interesting, to say the least. They've, coming into the second half, they traded Yaz. Nobody was really stepping up after Yaz got traded in the immediate aftermath. And it really felt like, okay, this team's going to have to go outside the org, try and find something. You look at Kyle Tucker is out there, but how realistic is that? A guy that might get, $300 to $500 million. Not sure how realistic that is. You look at all the other outfield options. You could go down the list at center field and right field. As far as free agency goes, it's not the most appealing. Like, there are some veterans, some guys that can play some decent defense, but really your only two like good, solid everyday options are at the top with, Tucker and like a Cody Bellinger. Maybe you can make a case for like a Trent Grisham, but since he could probably be a pretty solid defensive right fielder, but it's pretty thin. And then you look around the trade market, not a ton of super great options, I feel like, but you never know who might come available. So that's the one where you could kind of maybe make a move. And then both Matos and Gilbert decided to just go insane and get crazy hot. I mean, Gilbert on the season now in his, what is it, about 50 at bats or 50 plate appearances. It's not a big sample size, but he's got a 122 WRC plus. He's hitting 260, over 800 OPS, striking out less than 20% of the time. So he's been on a nice little run. I think Matos has like a over 200 WRC plus over the last 11 or 12 games. He's got a ton of extra base hits in that time. He's been hot. He's playing well. Gilbert's playing a great right field, a serviceable center when they need to put him out there. Matos maybe leaves something to be desired defensively, but he does have a really good arm. He has some upside, and he's certainly a lot better defensively than Ramos. So it kind of is going to get a little interesting. I've seen a few people mention Ramos might need to be shopped. I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility if if these two finish really hot the whole rest of the way, I don't think it's necessarily impossible to think that Ramos could be the guy that ends up the odd man out. That said, you don't necessarily 100% guarantee Bryce Eldridge is going to be ready day one next season. So Ramos could just end up as a DH. So like there are some options. I mean, Flores is assuredly gone. So, you could end up with Ramos kind of slipping in there, making occasional starts in the outfield and DHing most days. So it'll be interesting to see how the season ends, but it is kind of a nice development to see both these young guys really blossoming currently. And hopefully they can just keep it up, because I mean, the reality is if you can have two inexpensive options on your roster, that frees you up to do so much else, where they could potentially be chasing pitching. Maybe Ramos becomes trade bait, trying to get a pitcher. You could try and make a deal for a guy like Adley Rushman, where you feel a little better about giving up some prospects. You can make a trade for I know Ricky's been all over Freddie Peralta as an example. You can make a trade for a guy like Freddie. It would free this team up where they could really focus on pitching. So what are your guys' thoughts kind of on those, I should say three guys, because Lee is locked in, but what are your thoughts kind of on those three guys going into next season?
Well, you just said all of my thoughts.
My bad.
So to your point, yeah, I mean, Wilmer Flores is gone next season. That leaves the right-handed DH spot pretty much open. And if you got Luis Matos and Drew Gilbert finishing this month on a really strong note, the team basically has two options at this point. Either option A, they can go out and pursue an outfielder. An article dropped today. Kyle Tucker, Giants were mentioned. There's a little bit of speculation going there. How realistic is it? Probably not really, but they're going to at least pursue him to an extent. So the Giants could go out and pursue an outfielder if they want. Or, like you mentioned, if they want to utilize those funds, since they have a lot of money committed to Lee, Devers, Adames, and Chapman, what you can do is, like what you said, if Matos and Gilbert finish the year strong and you've seen all these defensive hiccups over the last 6 months with Elliot Ramos, you can plug Ramos into that right-handed DH role, and you can slide Matos and Gilbert into the corners. And then on a day where, you got a lefty on the mound and you maybe want to sit Gilbert, then you can slide Ramos into the outfield. You can get a little bit creative in that way. So there's a few things that, like what JT just said, that's one of the routes that you can end up going that's going to maximize your team both financially and defensively. So I can see that being a realistic, option that we're seeing here. So, but it really just comes down to, who's going to be available this offseason. We've seen Buster, somewhat aggressive with trades. If an outfielder, becomes available for trade, maybe they entertain something like that. And it really just depends on how those two guys, referring to Matos and Gilbert, finish the season. Because if they finish the season strong and they, make a case for the starting positions next year, then, you got a legit chance there. So I don't know, man. It really depends on those factors. So, but like you said, and like I just mentioned, those are going to basically be the two scenarios that you look at. I don't really see a scenario in which Ramos is going to be the starting left fielder next season, which kind of sucks because the streak's going to continue. But defensively speaking, I think it would be for the best, and you're still going to utilize his bat in the lineup because that right-handed DH role is going to be freed up. So that's what I would do. I would go one of those two routes.
Yeah. And really quick, I don't want to say like Ramos is going to be limited to a platoon type player. Like, he hits righties plenty well. I just think that ultimately he might just get pushed over to the DH spot and then make spot starts in the outfield. Like, it's tough. He's too good of a bat to just straight platoon him. And then I've seen a few people mention Matos as a fourth outfielder. I don't think you can go platoon with him and Gilbert. If we can learn anything about Luis Matos from this season, it is that guy does not handle getting 7 at bats a week well. Like, we cannot keep trying this. Like, it's not going to work. They need to they've just got to play him every day or near every day. Like he's got to be making 5 starts a week. So
it's no coincidence that Bomel says, "Hey, Matos is going to play pretty much every day," and then he goes on a heater. Like it's not a coincidence.
Yeah. And like several people have mentioned, I do like Gilbert's defense the best of all of them.
Yeah.
So like that's the hard part, and he's got an absolute hose. So like you put him out in right field, like he's got a cannon, and I mean so does Matos. If you look at Matos's baseball savant page, for instance, like his arm strength is like 96th percentile, which is kind of nuts. He just doesn't really get to show it off that often.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they'd be crazy to trade Matos this offseason, Ramos, because you got him under 4 more years of team control. He's going to be very cheap. He's a major league hitter, a pretty good major league hitter at that. I would definitely expect his power to come back next season. They just need to get him out of that damn leadoff spot, personally. But I don't see a scenario where they go to him as a full-time DH next year. I don't think Devers will be DHing as much next year once he comes back in, hopefully healthy. But I do see a scenario where they do, rotate those guys a lot, kind of like what they're doing right now with Lee. And I think there's going to be time for all 4 of those guys to get time in the outfield, because I think we've seen Jung-Hoo Lee's a much better overall player when he does get that occasional day off. He just right now doesn't look like that type of dude that should be playing like all 162. It clearly has worn him down at times this season, and the time off has benefited him. So then at that point, you can kind of just slide in Gilbert for spot starts out there. Occasionally have Gilbert come in and hit right-handed pitching for Matos, and then mix and match them depending on what the matchups are like. And, like Dan said, occasionally, have Ramos be the right-handed side of that DH spot, because, we got to account for possibly Dom Smith and Wilmer both being gone, and Devers not DHing as much. So there should be plenty of time for all those guys, unless they go in and sign some big bat. If they go and bring in Kyle Tucker, then we'll completely reevaluate everything. And it's pretty likely that one of those guys doesn't make the opening day roster, and then everything changes from there. So, you got to pursue Tucker and see if you have a chance. And then if you don't, then you might be stuck rolling it out with those 2 guys. But like we've been saying for a few years now, get an evaluation going. You're starting that process now, which is great, but you got to continue it into next year, because we've seen too many times where Matos gets momentum going and then they just shut him down and say, "Oh, nope, we're facing a right-handed pitcher, so you're going to sit on the bench for a week." So
even though he plays better against righties.
Yeah, it's, that was the beauty of getting rid of Yaz, is just you finally have that opening over there where you can comfortably play guys and move guys around as much as you want. So I think that's the way they do it, unless they pull off some crazy, Ramos for Stephen Kwan type trade or something of that nature.
Yeah.
Or maybe they do go for a starting pitcher, like you said, and, maybe they, give him up for a Freddie Peralta or something like that,
Yeah. And that's like where I could see it being logical. It's like if you feel comfortable, because I know a couple people like Colby have mentioned, Matos's defense does leave something to be desired. I do think if you put him in left field every day, like I feel better about him than I do Ramos, just generally speaking. So I think if you put him in left, like he'd be fine. If you had a guy like Gilbert in right and Lee in center, like you'd be feeling at least decent about that. I think Matos, he does a little better coming in on balls. You play him a little deeper in Oracle, you'd probably be pretty fine there. But yeah, I mean, that'd be the scenario where it would make sense to trade Ramos. But like, I agree with everyone here. Like, I'm not advocating to trade him. I could see a scenario where they do, is more or less where I'm going. And kind of like Ricky just mentioned, like if you wanted to rotate these guys, kind of like what they're doing now, and like keep, getting guys days off and things like that, you could easily I mean, I'm assuming 1 day off in a week. You're playing 6 games. That means you got 18 starts to divvy up in the outfield. That's 4.5 starts per player if you just divide it amongst the 4 guys. That's 4.5 starts. You could easily throw 2 DH games to Ramos, for example, and that gets you to 5 starts a week for each guy. That's, I mean, at the end of the year, I mean, you're going to probably be looking at 500 at bats or more.
Wow.
And if one guy falls off or other guys separate themselves or whatever, like you can adjust how you're divvying at the time, but you can really get these guys, near everyday playing time, even rotating through them. So there is a case to keep all 4.
Can I just say, kind of piggybacking off of Ricky's comment, isn't it funny how the team finally gets an evaluation at the young guys and they just so happen to play their best ball? I don't want to say we told you so, but we told you so.
Yeah. And I get there's a lot of skepticism with Matos, especially because he had that hot streak last year and then he, went ice cold for 2 or 3 weeks. The 2 things I would say is this streak looks significantly different than the one he had last season. The one last season, he was swinging at like every first pitch. He was chasing everything. Every team, saw that after like 5 games in a row and went, okay, well, we're going to just stop throwing him strikes. And he was chasing everything. And this time, yes. Does he still have some chase? Yes. I think one of the last at bats against the Rockies yesterday, he chased 2 pitches out of the zone, the first 2 pitches, but he's been battling his at bats so much better. You'll see adjustments mid at bat, and he proceeded to lay off one down and away. He did chase a 3rd pitch where it was just that was more of a protection swing than anything for me. Like he kind of fought one off that was too close to take probably. And then he hit a nice like 99-mile-an-hour line drive into right field that just happened to go right at the right fielder. It was not a bad approach. Like I will take that all day long, that swing. And you're seeing just better quality at bats. Drew a walk earlier in the game. So to me, like you see how it looks, and to me, the how matters. So I think it's a little more sustainable. He's not going to hit 400 forever. Of course not. Like he's going to have some bad games, but it definitely looks closer to his 2023 approach that had a ton of success for him, especially in AA and AAA, where he was using the middle of the field a lot. He's shooting balls through the right side of the infield when they leave that big hole. He's not just yanking everything at the third baseman, shortstop, and left fielder. So there is some sustainability, I feel, in his game right now.
And his player of the week hot streak was like 9 games. Like,
yeah.
This is a much larger sample size than what you saw then. And that's why I don't really consider it a fluke.
And with him and Gilbert, they bring that offensive profile that we've been begging for a long time.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of swing and miss in those guys' game. And that's where, you could see Ramos potentially be the odd man out. Is he's not like a big strikeout guy. He's actually relatively close to the league average when you look at it. And he's made big improvements from last season to this season, cutting back on his chase, his whiff, his strikeout rate. Everything's down. I think his strikeout rate's down 3 or 4% from last season. But, ultimately, like if you can drop that and get a Gilbert up who, I mean, it's at, I think 19.6% now, but it's dropping and he's got quite a track record in the minor leagues. Like he might be a guy that only strikes out 16, 17% of the time. Matos strikes out less than 15% of the time. Like it gets more that contact ability in the lineup that they need.
And to that point, I mean, we all see what Buster Posey's type is in terms of a hitter. And Matos and Gilbert fit that quote-unquote type a lot more than Ramos does, if we're being realistic. The bat-to-ball skills, the contact skills, that's right up Buster's alley. And he's proven that with his draft picks as of late. So I think they kind of fit his preference, but again, like none of us are advocating for Ramos to go anywhere. We don't want to see him get traded by any means. But it's just about putting the best team possible on the field on a daily basis, and there's a way that you can do that by maximizing all 4 guys' potential, all 4 outfielders, so to speak. So that's all we're kind of hinting at here.
And I kind of just prefer going that route too, because having those 4 guys mixing, matching, and having that DH spot open is literally what we kind of begged for before the season started. And we're like, okay, cool. We don't have Jorge Soler there anymore, clogging up the DH spot. And then, a month and a half into the season, insert Wilmer Flores. He's going to just clog up that spot and then just completely lose all power for 4 months of the season. And then you have nobody to drive in runs in that spot. You're just praying for a bloop single with guys on base pretty much. So it would just be nice to have, a variety of different options to plug into the DH spot daily. Keeps everybody fresh and more energized because it's not running out the same lineup over and over and over, especially when you're struggling. That was part of the problem. It gets really stale when you have Yaz getting rolled out into right field 90% of the time because he's taking all the at-bats up against right-handed pitching. And then you have Wilmer on top of that. And then you're only occasionally getting, Dom Smith in there. And then even when he was in there, it's usually because he's going to go play first base. It wasn't for DH, especially after they got Devers. So it just got very redundant over and over and over. And it's just your opportunities are so limited as a young player when you have, basically 8 spots that are clogged up every day. Yeah. So hopefully that's the case if they don't go and land like a Kyle Tucker type.
Yeah. I mean, and we'd all I know I've seen a few people mention we would love to get a big time star to come here. I don't know how realistic it is. If Tucker says he's willing, then I mean, by all means, this team should push its chips in on Tucker. I mean, that's how I feel about that. He's a great defender. He's, it's slipped back a little bit, but I mean, he's still a plus defender. He is going to swipe 25 plus bags and hit probably 260, 270 with 30 plus bombs. Like, he's one of the better middle of the lineup hitters in the game. So, but that said, I'm not sure that he's even going to be interested in coming to San Francisco. It's been a place that they've struggled to get people. But maybe he looks at what Rafi Devers is doing and goes, all right, I can hit in that yard. I mean, you just never know. But we'll see. We'll see what the team does. I know, like, the other thing, as these guys have mentioned in the past, with guys like Yaz and Flores, getting them out of the lineup, part of that is just getting a little bit more dynamic players in there, getting guys that make contact more frequently. That was a big thing with Yaz. I mean, he was a great Giant, but at the end of the day, he's a 230-ish hitter, going to hit 15 to 18 homers usually at the end of the year, but it's going to also strike out 26% of the time most years. They can't, and it seemed a lot of those came in very inopportune moments. So it's just getting guys that consistently put the ball in play. I mean, that's how you've seen Milwaukee being so successful this season. So I think that's where some of these guys have a ton of value to keep around and play a lot. You're muted, Dan. I think you muted yourself in StreamYard. There you go.
No, my mic unplugged, so I had to plug it back in. I was just saying, yeah.
Sorry, I needed to get John Boy in here.
Yeah. Where's John Boy at?
Yeah. I did want to touch on kind of going off the Kyle Tucker type talk. There is a few people in here, bringing up Bo Bichette. I think all 3 of us collectively agree that we would love Bo Bichette here. He kind of fits that bill that Cody's talking about right now, where he's going to put the ball in play a lot more. He's going to hit for a high average. He's not as much of a big time power guy, it seems, anymore. I mean, he only has I think 16 or 17 bombs right now, and he plays in a big time hitter's yard, in a big time hitters division in the AL East. But we kind of talked about this on last week's show. It's looking more and more like Bo is going to get a really hefty contract. I know Kyle Tucker is too, but you have a little bit more upside with the bat with Kyle Tucker. You haven't had as big of downs like you had with Bo Bichette last year. And then the other factor that, we've got to acknowledge too is Bo Bichette's a shortstop, and we don't really know for sure that he would be willing to move over to second. Maybe he would be. He isn't really the greatest defensive shortstop. So he probably should agree to that, but there's going to be some team out there that's willing to keep him at short. Might not be Toronto with some of the money that they've spent recently on Vladdy and Santander, but I don't think any of us feel Bichette's as good of a fit now, especially with, at least as of late, what Casey Schmidt's done since he took over the starting second base job. There is the possibility that Casey completely craps the bed at the end of the season, but ultimately, what you're getting in Casey. You're getting a little bit of that power potential you're starting to see come through now. And then you're also getting a high-end glove, and I fully expect Casey to just continue to get better defensively as he gets more comfortable at second base.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to the point about Casey really quick, sorry to
you're
in
good.
front of you, Cody. If your biggest gripe with the team is Casey Schmidt at second, who's on a 162 game pace, he's at roughly looking at 20 home runs, 70 RBIs with a 240 batting average. I mean, you'll take that all day, every day from your starting second baseman, who's under team control for a cheap contract rookie deal for the next 4 years. I mean, you will absolutely take near 70 RBIs, 20 plus bombs with a mid 200s average with above average defense at second base. Like, if that's your biggest issue on the team, you got bigger issues to worry about. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to point that out. I see people saying that second base is the biggest need for the Giants this offseason. I 1,000% disagree.
Yeah. If he continues improving kind of on the trajectory he's been defensively, not even going on the offense yet. Like, if he just improves on the defensive side, just is a plus defender over there. If he's giving you a 240 plus average, and I think that'll get better. I really do. I think if he keeps playing every day, goes into next season, ton of confidence. Like, I could see that being like 260 ish, maybe better. But like, if you're getting that out of him with 20 bombs, like, I don't think a lot of people realize how weak the second base position is around baseball, because you're talking about like a top 7 second baseman in the game. Like, there's not that many that you'd genuinely take. And I mean, like, actual second baseman. Obviously a Bo Bichette, that's an upgrade. If Bo is willing to move off short and go to second, like, that's an upgrade over Casey. But there's not a ton out there. Like, a lot of people mention it like it's just this easy position. I mean, there's not like Bryce Terang's just growing on trees out there that you can just go throw out there, win a platinum glove while stealing a bunch of bags and hitting. Like, it's just, these guys there's not a ton. And then you get guys like Brandon Lowe, who, I mean, I like his bat, but I mean, he's a pumpkin defensively. So, I mean, you're just, well, what are you going to do there? Like, everybody cries about Ramos. We'd be crying about putting him in the DH spot. And like, it's just, I don't think that it's as easy to upgrade off Casey as a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And Casey is right there in line with Matos, Ramos, Gilbert, Lee, of this, group of guys that's right in the middle of their prime. And you got to build around some of these younger guys that you've drafted and developed yourself, because you can't just have a team full of expensive, $100 to $200 million players. You got to have some cheaper, more cost-effective talent on your big league roster. And ultimately, like Cody said, based on what's out there for second baseman, you can absolutely get by with Casey there. Most of the season since Casey's been a starter, he's actually been in the 250 range with his batting average, which is definitely above average in today's game. I know a lot of old school baseball fans get really caught up on the average, especially with like Willie Adames and Matt Chapman, but that's just really around league average. And Casey's been above that. The contact's been way better. The at-bat quality's been a lot better. And one thing people don't talk about a lot with Casey is the dude is hit the ball in the sweet spot at a crazy rate this season, and he's just had a ton of bad luck. So that definitely suggests a lot of positive regression with him, especially when it comes to, extra base hits and just getting his average up in general. And then, like Dan said, I mean, he's on a 20 homer pace, and he had like no homers early on in the season.
Yeah. I mean, he's hit 10 home runs since like mid-June. Like they've all been since then. I mean, he is absolutely got 20 to 25 homer pop, which if you're getting 20 plus bombs out of your second baseman and he's just playing plus defense and hitting 250-ish, I mean, I'll take that any day of the week. I mean, he ideally he's hitting like seventh for you. You know, you're not trying to get more out of him than he is. Like, we're not telling him to be a star here. Like, we want you to be a very good role player.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Ozzy Albies is good. Sorry, I was just reading the comments.
Yeah, I would definitely stick with Cody over Ozzy Albies. He's going to be a little overpriced for what he is. He's a player in decline, both offensively and defensively. I mean, if you see any Braves games, he's definitely not helping their situation over there right now, and the type of season they've had between just overall, you know, their lineup declining offensively and then just guys getting older and getting hurt. I personally would just stay with the cheaper option in Casey and somebody that you already know what you're going to get. And like Cody said, if you have a guy that can hit 20 bombs or even close to that out of second base and hitting at the bottom of your lineup's probably going to be looking pretty damn good by the end of the season. Yeah. That's kind of why you're starting to see things really piece together. You know, you've seen Willie, Devers, Chapman all starting to get hot around the same time. That's pretty much what we've been begging for all season. Just more than one guy be hot at the same time. And then that can actually carry you instead of just trying to scrape by 3 runs off of one guy hot at a time. It's just way more sustainable.
For sure.
Realistically, the positions that I think can be and should be upgraded this offseason, and, you know, no particular order of priority, is starting pitcher. I think they got to go and at least get one starting pitcher. You probably need a bullpen arm because Randy's out for the year. You most definitely need a catcher, as much as people don't want to hear that. You need a catcher.
Even if it's backup, people. Like, yeah. They need a catcher.
You need a catcher of some sort. Preferably, you get a platoon partner for Bailey. That's just my 2 cents. And then, I mean, if a right fielder is available for the right price or whatever, sure. And then maybe second if you have a chance at, you know, getting a Bichette or something. But those first 3 are probably the biggest needs, in my opinion, that are on the team as it stands.
Yeah, for sure. They could definitely, and, you know, I wouldn't even be opposed to, like, if a high-end defensive center fielder was available that can at least hit some. You know, that's not just terrible like Harrison Bader, you know, where he just doesn't hit like ever. If you get like a high-end defensive center fielder that can swing it a little bit, like, I wouldn't hate that either, because frankly Lee would probably be pretty good defensively in like right field if he had to. I know he's not the prototype right field bat, but like that is an option as well. Like they definitely need depth above all else. Yeah, honestly, like they're not a super deep team. And, you know, maybe if you do keep all of these outfielders like we've talked about, you know, you're going to have a pretty good one kind of on the bench at any given day that you can use late in a game. If Bryce is up, you know, maybe it's going to get a little harder to get Dom Smith back, I think, if you're planning on having Bryce on the opening day roster. But, you know, if you can get Dom back, that would be pretty big. And I know the team likes Koss, but, you know, I think that's a spot where you definitely at least look, see if you can get a little bit better option. But Koss has been solid off the bench. But I think you got to find like one more good bench guy, like one more good utility player that you feel solid about, like giving you a good at bat late in a game, like getting a Kiner Falefa type. You know, I don't know if he might get a starting job somewhere, but a player like that can swing it a little bit and get you a good quality at bat late in a game. And actually defend, so not Wilmer Flores, before anybody tries to say that. I'm like, pause. Disclaimer. But why don't we just go ahead and we're going to get this giveaway going. Obviously, like we said, we're going to do 2. all you have to do, you gotta be subscribed to the YouTube channel and drop a comment in the live stream. So, and you need to be present currently while we do this. So we have got like 715 or some odd people in here right now. And I know a lot of you guys are watching on X. I'll give everybody a minute or two. You'd have to jump over to YouTube, find the live stream, hit the, maybe I can like share the link in the comments for anybody that's watching on X. Let's see if I can do
go
that.
Ahead
really
and
quick.
drop that. So, couple disclaimers, guys. Like you mentioned, you got to drop a comment. You have to be in the comment section when they run the giveaway. You can't just comment and then close out and run away. It'll remove your name from it. So be sure that you're present watching it. Drop a comment. Make sure you're subscribed and claim it. We're going to have it up for probably a minute or two. And if you don't comment and claim your prize, we're just going to respin it again. And then lastly, whoever wins, there's going to be 2 winners. Whoever wins, DM me or DM Cody on X or Instagram, or you can DM Ricky on Instagram, but he's the popular one here, so you might not get to your DM. But DM any of the 3 of us, just your name and address and what size you are. I'll get it all manufactured and shipped out as early as I can. It's all made to order, and it's not cheap quality or anything. So turnaround time is probably going to be looking, 1 to 3 weeks. So just a heads up. Mark, what size of the hoodies? It's up to you. You can go all the way from a extra small up to a medium. 5XL. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You just let me know what size you are, and I'll make it happen. JT, you are now my favorite viewer for that comment.
Hey, we've said we like Tang's stuff. His stuff is really good. He has starter quality stuff for sure. I like his stuff a lot better than some of the other guys they brought up from Sacramento this year. It's just really going to come down to his command on whether or not he's a middle relief option or if he's like a back end starter in the future. But the stuff plays, like you can see it's legit. When he's going right, he has really good strikeout stuff. And he has just his overall pitch mix is really good. I did want to go back real quick on just some of the comments regarding, upgrades and averages and stuff. I think some people still have this, really common misconception regarding Casey Schmitz being a strikeout guy. He is at a 23% strikeout rate this year. So he is definitely not a concern. He's not on the level of, a Chapman, Ramos, Adames. Even Adames has brought his down a little bit, but Casey's definitely not that guy anymore. So, yes, Ozzy Albies is definitely a better contact hitter, but if you guys look at his numbers, he is not a high average guy anymore. He's hitting 240 and he's hitting home runs at a slower rate than Casey Schmidt is right now. He's only got 5 more home runs than Casey on the season. And Casey's only been the full-time starter for half the season.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, for sure. Cody's gonna put on or show you what the hoodie looks like. Eddie asked, "Is the fabric wool?" No, it's 100% cotton, and it's not just like a cheap screen print. I bought these for me and the guys last winter, and it still looks brand new for all of us. So it's good quality stuff.
I wore crap out of this thing all winter, so it got its use, and it's still in great shape.
Pre-shrunk. They all fit pretty much true to size, Cole.
Yeah. Definitely. And for those of you that don't end up winning, I brought this up earlier. Anybody that doesn't end up winning tonight, we've got like 32 people entered right now. So, I mean, like, guys, keep getting in there if you want. For anybody that doesn't win, though, we are going to be opening up merchandise at some point in the very near future. Dan mentioned earlier, goal is October-ish sometime. So hopefully we can get this going after the season. I know we've got a few ideas. We've got some hats that we're working on. The hoodies, obviously we've already gotten those. Maybe we'll get some t-shirts or something. I know we were suggesting getting some t-shirts with Dan's face on there. Said like, ain't nobody got me like Wilma got me.
Nope.
He doesn't like that one though. Show worn. No, I'm not sending you a show worn hoodie.
We need
Not
to do
even
one of those things where we morph Dan and Wilmer's face into one face,
Yeah.
where it's like little bits and pieces of each guy, and put those on sweaters.
No. But on a serious note, I am building Even Your Dynasty Show website, and I'm planning on releasing that and the initial merch drop. My goal is Halloween, so end of October is the goal for all that. We're going to start with 4 pieces of merch and go from there. Those are going to be hoodies, hats already designed and sent to the guys, beanies, and shirts. So that's what we're going to start with for the first 4. I don't even think I've told you two.
I didn't know about the beanies. I figured the others.
Beanies, yeah. So it'll be those 4. So those will be the first ones to drop, and then depending on interest and whatnot, I'm going to have more, but we're going to start with that.
Can you use Giants players' faces on the tees? Yeah, we're gonna have to make sure we don't get like in trouble with any of the stuff we're gonna
no, we can't. Dan, the reverse jinx. I am the king of reverse jinxes on X.
Hey,
I piss a lot of people off.
That reminds me, though, we do have to touch base on the Dan/Wilmer tattoo on the lower back. I think we can safely put a wrap on that one. Unfortunately.
Yes. Sad
Wilmer's legs failed him, and we will not be seeing a 30 home run or 100 RBI season unless he wants to go full Barry Bonds in the last 2 weeks of the season. So sad times. We'll find something else to give Dan for next season, though.
Yeah.
No, thank you. I was scared for a little bit at the beginning of the year, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
He was sweating, guys.
He was definitely on a 30 homer pace.
When Wilmer had like 55 RBIs and it was like 67 games into the year or whatever, Dan was like, bro, I don't want to do this.
We should have done a fantasy football league, just the 3 of us, and whoever loses has to get their least favorite player tatted on them. Dude. Or their number.
Imagine.
Just brutal.
All right, guys. Last call for your comments before we run this. If you haven't commented yet, I don't know what you've been doing. Just say whatever. You can say Caveman Dan he sucks. I don't know. Say whatever.
While we're doing our last call, please enjoy this Bryce Eldridge home run.
Yes, sir.
Look where this thing lands. He hit this opposite field. It cleared the...
Look at JT says Kaiway Dang Dan tramp stamp.
Oh man. So yeah.
That was an impressive shot, man.
Yeah. He goes oppo so well. It's crazy.
Me and Ricky have matching Bryce Eldridge bobbleheads. Fun fact is.
I wish I could have gotten down to Eugene to get the Eugene one. I wasn't able to get down to that one, but we are going to I might potentially catch a game. I don't know if I'll be able to talk to any of the guys because they'll be doing their playoffs, but might try and sneak down to the game 3 of their playoffs in Everett next weekend. Next Friday.
JC. They'll probably meet up.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot I'll message JC, Xander probably. See if like Charlie, any of those guys. Charlie and Charlie. I guess both Charlies are there now.
Both the Charlies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I might hit up some of these guys. So all right, I'm gonna share the screen here.
Just comment whatever. If you haven't commented yet, this is literally your last chance. It's like last call at the bar.
Yep.
So like 32 entries. So
some of you guys are sleeping.
Yep.
33.
Dakota's hurt. Unfortunately, don't know what the injury is. Yeah. Hopefully he plays a little more before the year ends. I think he'd be a perfect fall league candidate if he's healthy.
Yeah.
So
no, there's no specific word, Jay. We've just said it for just a comment. If you're subscribed and you're commenting and you're here, you're entered.
The code word was Wilmer. If you missed it, it's too late.
Wilmer goat.
Nope.
Man. All right.
Nope.
Well,
We're gonna do this
give it
twice.
like
So
5 seconds.
if you miss out on this first one, you got a second chance. So we're gonna do this twice.
Sir.
All right, run it.
All right, we're running this.
Drum roll, please.
Hey, watch us win again.
Imagine. That was like what the very first giveaway we did. Hey,
you know what? You know what? I feel like that was earned because was it Greg that kept commenting in here?
Yeah, Greg's been a big supporter. That's much deserved.
Yeah, that was it.
All right, congrats, Greg. I know he's here. Really good guy. Greg, DM any of the three of us, and I will get that going for you first thing tomorrow morning.
Right on. Congratulations, Greg. Hey, I keep saying he's gonna wear the you know what out of the hoodie. So
there he is.
Yeah, there
yes,
it is.
Sir. Much deserved, bro. You show us a ton of love.
Yeah. We appreciate it, man. I think he might have commented on one of the things earlier and he's like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, glad you did. All right, it'll remove him out of the equation for the next one. I mean, obviously if it hits us, we're gonna redraw, but we will go ahead and draw this again. We got one more to give away, and then everybody else is just gonna have to wait for the merch drop. Sorry. So all right, let's run it.
San Fran fan. Seen you for a while in here too.
Yes, sir.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
He just commented too.
Yeah, he's here.
Yeah, I just saw that. Shoot us a like you said, on either X or on IG, send any of the three of us a message. We will make sure that gets to you. But congratulations. And then we will definitely, I don't know when we'll do the next giveaway. We like to run these. We've got some hats coming. I mean, normally well, I don't know if I'll make everyone wait that long, but I don't know. It depends on how fast we grow. If it like shoots up super quick, 2,500, but I don't know, maybe like 2,250 or something.
We'll have a few extra hats that are coming in hopefully soon.
At least we give away one of the hats or something, you know?
Do something like that.
Yeah. Let me borrow the hoodie. Hey, JJ, there'll come a point where maybe we do another giveaway with those. Maybe we do, or there's the merch site. So we're always looking for new items to do. Next giveaway, 2.02K.
But San Fran fan and
Greg.
I'm sorry. San Fran fan and Greg. Lost my train of thought. DM either of the three of us, either on X or IG. And like I said, I will get that going and shipped out tomorrow. Just both you guys send any of us, obviously your name, address, and size, and I will get that shipped out.
Yep.
It's like I said, it's made to order, so if it takes 3 weeks, don't be alarmed. You did not get scammed.
Yeah,
it's made to order, so I got to get them customized for you.
Yep. Perfect. Yeah, Ricky Clark signed baseball giveaway next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, only for JT though. I don't know anybody else wants that one.
We're running a giveaway at like 5 a.m. There's 2 people in here. Oh man. That'd be funny. All right, everybody. Appreciate everybody hopping in today. We're going to wrap this thing up. We will be back. Tuesday is going to be the minor league update next week. We only got like 3 more of those, 3 or 4 more. Minor league season's almost over. If I can get any content from the M's game next weekend, I'll try. But we'll have a couple minor league update Tuesday, next Thursday live show. Other than that, I mean, I think that's all we got planned right now. So appreciate you all hanging out. Go Giants. Hopefully we got a lot of good baseball to talk about next week as well. But yeah, got anything you guys want to add?
Not in particular. Go Niners this weekend. So
yeah, for all you Niner fans that are out there, football season's here. Go Niners. If you're not a Niner fan, go away. I'm just kidding.
Amen. Just kidding.
Nah, just kidding. All right, everybody. Have a good night.